Okay, we can get started. Sorry about that.
Okay, okay, it's okay. Uh, Start the recording. Hello, everyone. This is Monsef Afkher, and thank you so much for joining us in this new call of Your Divine Uniqueness. Yeah, happy to connect with you again. And yeah, so also very excited that Matthew John is joining us back. I think most of you already know him, and he's been joining us in the past several seasons. And how to say, like every time the experience that we have with him is very profound because the the way he explains and he shares about these esoteric subjects, he really goes in depth and he gives information that help us to first understand um, like the subject that he is sharing about, and then also like feeling that and embodying that because it's not only about the information, it's both the information and the experience that we can have with him. And yeah, I really love the everything that he shares, and from the masterclass that I attended before from him. It's yeah, really love his work and his message. And today's subject is healing your karma from Lemuria, Atlantis, Orion. So he will be sharing about that, like our our connection to Lemuria, Atlantis, and Orion, and maybe like our significant incarnation in those times and places, and also like the energetics of that connection, maybe how it affects us in this life and on a karmic level, and also maybe the if there are gifts that we can also bring in forth and use them in this lifetime. And yeah, that's just maybe I think it's more part of what he will be sharing. So very excited about the subject. And also we'll have a Q&A as always. So for those of you who are on Zoom, on the phone, you can raise your hand by pressing star nine, pressing reactions, then raise hand, sorry. And also you can type your questions on the chat boxes on Zoom and on YouTube. And for those of you who are new to Matthew, he is a spiritual teacher, intuitive, psychic, medium, trance channeler, intuitive astrologer, starseed guide, energy healer, medical intuitive, speaker, and spiritual life coach and mentor. And yeah, so with that, Matthew, welcome back to the show. Happy to have you with us.
Thank, thank you for having me back.
Wonderful. Um, yeah, so this is very important subject. Like we talk a lot about those three, like Lemuria, Atlantis, Orion, and every one of them they have some specificity. And so maybe in the beginning, if you can give us maybe an introduction about them, and then we can move more deeper into the subject.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great place to start. So Atlantis and Lemuria were two of the major continents that existed way back. So the ending of Atlantis and Lemuria we can date to about 13,000 years ago. But Atlantis and Lemuria went way back probably hundreds of thousands of years before that, or at least 100,000 years before that. A lot of times when we talk about like we're going to talk about today, the karma that is carried over from Atlantis and Lemuria, we're talking about a specific period towards the end of Atlantis and Lemuria when our planet and our solar system had last been in what we call the photon belt. The photon belt is this area of increased light emanating from the galactic center. And in every 13,000 years, we find our solar system re-entering this photon belt, which is exactly actually where we're at right now. We're about to re-enter that photon belt again as we enter into the planetary age of Aquarius. Well, the planetary age of Aquarius being the coming golden age. What was the last golden age on planet Earth? The last golden age was the age of Leo, 180 degrees across the chart. So that area or that period of time during the age of Leo, which the age of Leo itself was only about 2,000 plus years, but that time and a little bit farther back is when most of the karmic accumulation that we are dealing with nowadays as light workers on this journey trying to alchemize that karma comes from, because we're talking about the destruction and the dissolution of these two continents, how they went from at a time being a golden age to eventually being in war with one another, and for one of those continents being in war with itself, that being Atlantis, and it really leading to almost the destruction of the entire planet. But going back a bit, Atlantis was, for a long time, as far as I understand, a pretty peaceful continent, existing. If you look at a map now, if you look at a globe now and look along that from the area of the east coast of the United States all the way kind of to the western coast of Europe and down to the Caribbean, and just kind of draw, if there was a continent there, right? And that's where Atlantis was. We can find remnants of Atlantis in ancient ruins off of Cuba, for example. So Atlantis during its heyday was peaceful. It was highly technological. They had things like, like miniature crafts to go around, and they had things like teleportation. They had things like, methods for instantly healing any sort of ailment that one would have. They were also very adept at the spiritual arts. There were mystery schools in Atlantis. That was in its heyday. We'll get later on to kind of what happened at the end. But Lemuria, if you look at a globe, if you look at a map and kind of draw a circle where a continent would be from the west coast of the United States up to Hawaii and down, you can kind of draw a circle. And that's where Lemuria was. And actually, the Hawaiian Islands are remnants of a part of Lemuria. And you can draw that line also down to, the East South Pacific. Easter Island is a great example. Easter Island has the monoliths that still remain that were built in Lemuria, right? And in that continent, there was also a heyday that existed. Both these continents kind of went in ebbs and flows, where there were periods of great peace and renaissance and art and music and culture, and then there were times of more poverty and difficulties, but they kind of ebbed and flowed with astrological cycles, most notably the 26,000 year cycle. And if you cut that in half, the 13,000, every 13,000 years re-entering that photon belt. But fast forward to towards the end of Lemuria, there was this, and Atlantis, there was this stark contrast, and this will be the bulk of what we talk about today, between the way life was on Lemuria, which was really, really down to earth, in touch with the elements, in touch with nature, in touch with animals, peaceful, going along with the spiritual values, honoring, utilizing the elements, versus Atlantis, which had gone towards the end so far, so deep into kind of worshiping technology and wanting to use technology for every little facet of life, kind of even going towards, merging AI with humans, with humanity. Sounds familiar, right? And it ended up with the destruction of both continents. So, it should make us question where we're going with AI, but we'll get there.
That's very interesting to know that, and also to compare like our time now to those times and civilizations, and because also we can learn the lessons that they've been through, and then we can make different choices right now.
Yeah, and that's the whole point. Is we're trying to learn how to do things differently this time, so that instead of us careening towards the destruction of the entire planet, that we are able to finally create that new Earth, that fifth dimensional utopia that we had at times in Lemuria, especially in Atlantis. There were pockets of it, and there were periods of it, but in Atlantis, it was those kind of utopian periods, in my opinion, were more back 100,000 years ago, 80,000 years ago, even maybe further. Where in Lemuria, that heyday, yeah, during that last age of Leo, we had kind of reached another peak there of just complete peace and wonderful culture and being able to live in harmony without needing to have governments that, you know, had too much overreach into anything, where there was just such a stark contrast because on the other side of the planet in Atlantis, it started becoming a very controlling state, where everyone was being monitored. Everyone had to register everything they did. There was such a risk to kind of, it started to become a risk for going outside of the norm of anything in Atlantis, and it became a very homogenized kind of group thing, you know, like in the book 1984. And it became a very stark contrast, and that extreme duality, polarity, tension that got created vibrationally really is what vibrationally led towards the downfall of both societies, and kind of a resetting of the earth.
Yeah, absolutely. It's also, I hear like it was like the end of a cycle, like for each
Yeah.
civilization, and then a new beginning. And also we have here questions about Orion Wars and how and are these continents like the Atlantis and Lemurians, they are connected to Orion.
Yeah, absolutely. So Orion is so intimately connected in with these two continents, and there's several reasons. So, uh, first of all, if we talk about, like, a lot of you have watched me come on here before and have heard me talk about star seeds, heard me talk about, you know, the fact that probably every one of us that is on this call, that we are really from the stars originally, if we look all the way, trace our souls all the way back, right? And for those of us that had history in Orion's belt, you know, today's call is going to be especially relevant, especially important. So, in Orion's belt, which you can see very clearly in the sky, I actually got to my retreat last week, got to see it rising, which is incredible. About 2 a.m., got to see it rising over southeastern horizon, and it was just massive. It was so cool. But that was a particular place in our galaxy where draconians, dark extraterrestrial beings, had come from far away, and they had been going around the galaxy basically conquering planets that did not have the technology to fight them off. Well, the Orion planets did not really have the technology to fight them off. And they, you know, they were peaceful planets. They were highly spiritually developed planets. They were planets that were very much focused on unity, but they had not gathered the technology, weaponry to be able to fight off an attack. And it wasn't something that they had planned for. It kind of came as a surprise. So there were seers, and there were, as it came closer, it was kind of known that it was coming. So, you know, remembering like The Empire Strikes Back, you know, the second original Star Wars, like they're holding Princess Leia hostage on the Death Star, and, you know, they blow up her planet, right, for power. And this is kind of what the vibe was. The Draconians, they go around, or at least they did, and they conquer just out of a desire for power, and also out of a desire to mine for resources. So they see planets as resources for metals, for elements, and also for, again, groups of people that don't have the technology to fight them off, to be able to genetically manipulate them, to be able to mate with them, and also, like in laboratory settings, genetically modify them to kind of create new subservient races, which, if you trace things all the way back, is very likely the origins of humanity itself, right? Going back to Zecharia Sitchin's, you know, work on this, and not just him, but a lot. And that's my kind of what I believe is the origin story of planet Earth itself. Is, you know, it was the Anunnaki, which were is a faction of the Draconians, right? But in Orion's belt in particular, I think they wanted to test out particular weaponry, and one of that was just blowing up planets. like they had developed the technology to just blow up a planet from the inside out. And that's what they did with a lot of the Orion planets. They just blew them up. And it's unimaginable. It's hard to comprehend. It's hard for any of us to comprehend for obvious reasons what that would be like to have your planet that you grew up on, that you know, that you love. I mean, think about this planet just blow up, right? And like what happened to Princess Leia. And, you know, what happens to those souls? It's like literally the most traumatic thing that could happen to a soul, or one of the most traumatic things. Because, you know, although this is like a holographic game in a way, you know, life, what happens here has an effect on our soul. It has an effect throughout lifetimes. The way you die has an effect throughout for your soul, and it has an effect for other lifetimes. So it was an incredibly traumatic death. And even for those of us that our planet wasn't blown up, let's say we were just invaded and enslaved. There was a lot of, you know, rape. There was a lot of just horrible, you know, subhuman treatment of the Orion people. And the deaths that occur were so traumatic that, again, it caused harm to the soul. So the Pleiadians are involved here. The Pleiadians were very much involved in the aftermath of the Orion War. The Pleiadians, I think that they understood that if they engaged with the reptilians, with the Draconians, then they would find themselves, their whole star cluster, in a war. And I think that's one reason they didn't engage. I think the other reason is that, karmically speaking, they kind of understood that Orion's war was Orion's war, and it was karmically up to the stars there. And, you know, the logos, the consciousness of those stars, karmically speaking, for whatever reason, you know, the way I look at it is like the Orion's belt had decided to kind of take the bullet and be the area of the Milky Way where the most disgusting darkness would take place, to teach the lesson for the rest of the galaxy of the harm that allowing duality to just spread like without any rules would cause. Because the idea is that the Milky Way may be a unique galaxy. It may be different than most galaxies where there's kind of a lack of rules in the Milky Way, and dark beings are allowed to be as dark as they want to without really any guardrails, which may not be the case in other galaxies. So the Pleiadians, who didn't necessarily engage, they were there, though, to help the aftermath. So the souls that were damaged from the Orion experience, whether your planet blew up or whether you were out in a craft fighting, or whether you were, you know, whatever horrible thing happened to you, right? The Pleiadians took you as a soul. They put you in some sort of cocoon, and they gave you some options. And one of the options some options were to go to holographic realms, to start to rebalance, redeal with this karma. And what does that mean? Well, the trauma is so intense and it caused such damage to the soul that it has to be re-experienced in some way, but in ways that are more tolerable, that are lighter, that are less severe, that are less traumatic, less scary. And then ultimately the lessons that have to be learned are all about forgiveness, because the being attacked, and this is relevant for anywhere, including here on Earth in a third density vibration. The vibration of being attacked is very low. It's a very low vibration, right? The vibration of retaliation is a very low vibration as well. The vibration of resentment is a very low vibration, right? So in order to undo the damage of low vibrational experiences, we have to elevate in vibration, because it's the higher vibrations that replace the lower vibrations essentially and heal them. Okay. So the ultimately the lesson is in forgiveness, as hard as that is. Princess Leia forgiving, Emperor Palpatine. I mean, can you imagine? But really, like, if that would be ultimately this probably the spiritual lesson in Princess Leia's soul's path, right? So the Pleiadians gave some options, and one of the options was come to Earth. Why? Because Earth was already dealing with the same sort of draconian infiltration, but like in the story of Zechariah Sitchin, right? The Anunnaki coming here to Earth, they didn't blow up the planet. Obviously, they found the resources here very valuable. The idea is that they found, in particular, the gold to be very valuable. So they basically created us as this slave race, but they didn't want to just eliminate us because then we wouldn't be serving the role. And then there's other parts where they may have found a way to kind of harvest our energy through fear by perpetually making us fight each other. I mean, they look at us, not just them, but the Illuminati. They look at us and they laugh at how stupid we are and how we listen to everything they say and all the programming and how we just are constantly fighting each other and being in fear of each other, and then they feed off of that, right? But because Earth is at a very low vibration compared to the rest of the galaxy, one of the options was to come to Earth, and especially to come to Lemuria and Atlantis, because Lemuria and Atlantis are essentially karmically replaying the Orion beings versus the Draconians. Because what happened is the Atlantis at its top. Atlantis was this patriarchal, hyper-capitalistic, top-down pyramid like we see in Western society nowadays. And it was, at the very top, actually evil, dark. But the people in Atlantis were just normal people. They were like us. They were good people, right? They were very spiritually awake people, very, unity-oriented people. But it was the people at the top that had, much like has been done over the past century, created ways to get the people to start to be in fear, created ways to get the people to only focus on materialism, to put aside the spiritual values to chase the dollar. Sound familiar, right? Well, that and then Lemuria on the other side wasn't. It wasn't corrupted at the top by the Draconians. So it was this kind of more pure, spiritual, open-hearted, unity, consciousness civilization, which was Lemuria, which was Orion, the Orion planets before they got attacked, versus Atlantis, which had been corrupted by this very dark rule at the top. So what a great playground karmically for souls to then be able to come and play and to be able to re-experience what they need to re-experience in order to start to seal up those soul wounds. So, for example, you came from a planet that in Orion's belt that was blown up, okay? So the Pleiadians give you that option after, the period of stabilization of the soul. The Pleiadians say, well, look at Earth. And you say, that sounds great. Let's do that. And you go into Earth. Now you're entering into, like I explained, as a starseed. You've come into the astral plane of Earth, and now you've entered into the reincarnation cycle. And now you get the opportunity to plan out a series of lifetimes in Lemuria and Atlantis. Okay, so you might play both sides. You might say, all right, I'm going to play a couple lifetimes of just being this beautiful, harmonious being, that is just completely connected with love and unity. And maybe you're a school teacher, maybe you're a doula, maybe you're teaching others how to be telepathic, maybe you're an artist, maybe you're a musician, right? And these are beautiful lives. Well, okay, now you got that piece, which reminds you of who you were in Orion. But then you say, okay, well, now how do I experience the other side? Well, maybe you have an incarnation in Atlantis where you're in some sort of mystery school and you are approached by a teacher that you end up trusting, and they end up leading you away from the mystery school to take your gifts and work for some sort of corporation that's focused on mind control or focused on building weaponry. I've heard so many stories from people like you guys that are watching this that come to me and have these memories like this from Atlantis and feel this tremendous guilt, right? And this is something we'll talk about today. And, what to do with that and why that's there. So then, okay, in that case, you're now experiencing a bit of the dark side. Well, then you got to re-experience your planet getting blown up. So you're there at the end of Lemuria when the war is taking place. The two factions in Atlantis declared civil war on one another and went all out and started bombing each other with nuclear weapons. Then they said, all right, well, let's take out Lemuria too. And they started dropping nuclear weapons around the east coast of Lemuria. And then they had these ray weaponry, like Edgar Casey describes, these giant lasers bouncing off of the ionosphere. Sound familiar maybe to something people allege nowadays too. And just going and destroying vast areas, disrupting the tectonic plates, causing volcanoes, causing tsunamis. That was the biblical flood, right? And it's all over the religious text. Something happened 13,000 years ago. This is what happened. It was an all-out war that basically destroyed the planet. So you might have then been like I was at the end of Lemuria. Some of you went down with the ship. I did. I said, this is my home. I'm ready to die. And I went down with the ship. And then some of you that were in the end of Lemuria, the Pleiadians came in their crafts. There were these circular crafts, you might remember, and they gave you the opportunity. They gave you the choice telepathically. They spoke to you. So some of you had already known before that you'd have this choice. And they said, do you want to come with us to down below? Down below, meaning the inner earth. And some of you said yes, some of you said no. Those of you that said yes, you were beamed, essentially kind of like just dematerialized or rematerialized in the Pleiadian crafts, and they took you to the inner earth, and you were met by leaders down there, and you acclimated to living in these beautiful utopian fifth dimensional societies underneath the earth. And, that's Agartha, that's Telos, right? Those societies still exist to today. They're waiting for us. Those fifth dimensional societies underneath the earth, they're waiting with bated breath for when we'll finally reach our potential here on the surface and become the new earth, because then they're going to feel comfortable to come out and be of service to us, right? But that's the essence of the connection. And then Orion, it's not just about this part. It's also beings from Orion, I believe, had visited the early humans just as the Lyrans had. I believe the Lyrans had visited the early humans and actually tinkered with the DNA to improve it. I think what the Anunnaki created was a very simplistic sort of human that would follow directions. And I think the Lyrans came along and essentially inputted their DNA and created a more intelligent, more thinking for themselves, more creative human. And then I think there was some aspect of Orion beings coming in and contributing something there. And at the end of Atlantis and in Lemuria, before the end, when the Civil War was kind of beginning, the word got out, and there was this mass exodus of the Atlanteans who went. If you look at a map of where Egypt is, right, and if you imagine that there was all this land, kind of if you look across North Africa, that was kind of this connecting piece to the east coast of Atlantis, and there was this mass exodus. And who knows, this could be, Moses walking through the desert, right? And there was this mass exodus of the Atlanteans to the Nile Valley. My inclination is they were probably guided by the Syrians to go there. And then the pyramids were erected soon after the end of Atlantis, right? And this was essentially a gift from the Syrians from Sirius to planet Earth to maintain it essentially. See, these pyramids were, my understanding is, on the Orion planets, right? They would erect these sorts of pyramids, and they would point them to particular places in the galaxy to have a certain connection. And it's kind of an ode to Orion, the pyramids, and it was the Syrians that helped us build it and really built it for us through using sound to move the blocks. The blocks would be, I think the people built the blocks. I think the Syrians showed them how to build the blocks with what material. And then the Syrians themselves moved the blocks into place to build these pyramids. But these pyramids were built as an ode to the Orion planets that we came from as souls, a lot of the post-Atlanteans. And also as this power center that could always be accessed by anyone, good or bad, for the planet, because it is a dualistic planet we're on, to create whatever we want to create. So it was left there for us to be able to utilize. And now we're coming around 13,000 years later. We're back in the golden age, and the pyramids are very important. That's why everyone should take a journey there when you can. If you can go inside the king's chamber, go inside the king's chamber and use that PowerPoint to create codes of light, for the planet and for the galaxy.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. That was very, very informative. And yeah, a lot of information. And so my question is now, as humans who have these connections with those civilizations, and like you said, there is cameras. Sometimes we can feel that without knowing where it is coming from. So how can we handle those karmic energies that we are keeping from
Yeah.
those
Well, first
connections?
of all, if you found this call, it's very likely that you do have some karma left over from Atlantis and or Lemuria and or Orion, and some, usually it's all three. Not always. I personally wasn't incarnated in Atlantis, but I've got a heck of a lot of karma left over from Orion and from Lemuria. I think the first step to understand is whether you're an Orion starseed or not. Because if you're an Orion starseed on its own, for almost 100% of Orion starseeds, you do carry with you some negative karma related to the Orion Wars. So it can manifest like, how do we equate, how do we draw the lines between something that happened, millions of years ago, somewhere far away? It's like in Star Wars, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Really, Star Wars is based on the Orion Wars, and instead of it being, in a galaxy far, far away, it's just in a star system far, far away. But how do we equate that? How do we draw those threads? Well, do you deep down in this very life have some sort of fear of being attacked? Do you especially have some sort of fear of being attacked deep down in this life for doing your light work, for doing good, for having powers? Whether it's magical powers or powers of telepathy or whatever you're able to do, mediumship powers, right? Deep down, or even not so deep down, is there some sort of fear around being attacked, because of that, right? Okay. Well, that's a good sign that you're carrying some Orion karma with you. Do you have like this really strong desire to, no matter what, you just have to figure out, what the dark beings are about? Why is darkness evil? Do what it is. Have you had to come across narcissists? Have you been a narcissist yourself? Have you, been harmed by really dark people? Have you been in organizations with really dark people? A lot of this is, resonate with people that are watching this. And you want to, that's a sign of being an Orion starseed, that you're here to really understand the darkness. Have you really been fascinated at times with trying to understand, like, okay, how does the Illuminati work, right? Why do they do what they do? How does all that work? Well, again, Orion, have you always wanted to investigate and uncover the truth, that you don't really buy on the surface what is being sold to you by the media? Orion, that may be Orion, the mark of being an Orion starseed. Because one of the things that happened as the Anunnaki, the Draconians would take over Orion planets, is that they would create these like really crazy disinformation campaigns, essentially, and try to gaslight people into believing that they're not being taken over. That actually it was just either status quo, or that it was a good thing that they were coming to. It was kind of the same paradigm as like instances of genocide throughout human history, where the genocidal people come in and they say, hey, here we go. Here's some technology. Here's some Bibles. Here's some food. And really, they're there to conquer, but it's very sinister, and it's very subtle at first, right? And so that's kind of what happened in some of the Orion planets, that they didn't just blow up. And because of that, yeah, some of us have this, inclination to want to understand what is the truth of things. So if you're a truth seeker, it's because you've been lied to in significant other lifetimes. If you deep down, or not so deep down, have fear about being attacked for your light, it's because you were attacked for your light in other lifetimes. If you have specific fears of, like, let's say you're not really afraid of kind of being in your light, but you're afraid of being public with it, that's because you were public with it in other lifetimes and you were attacked or killed for it. So that's the karma. You can see it in this life by where are these icky things around power and around truth and around kind of bringing out your highest potential as a light worker and as someone that has special power, special influence for the light. And the ickiness, the fears, and the consternation around that points to karmic experiences from Orion and or from Atlantis or Lemuria. And then also they'll get repeated. Maybe you were a witch in Europe, and they they took you down because you were not going along with what the Christian paradigm at the time thought was okay. That happened to a lot of us too. A strong aversion to technology and being tracked. Someone wrote, yeah, like, those of us with this sort of karma, like, we just kind of inherently always knew that these things are tracking us. And we have a bit of a problem with that, even if we still use it. Because that's what happened in Atlantis. So it's simple if you think about it. It's whatever the irrational or the just you've always kind of had these sorts of feelings and fears, etc. They come from somewhere else. They're there for a reason. And then what do we do with them? Well, remember I said before how the Pleiadians were reminding, people after their planet was destroyed, like Princess Leia's planet, that they had to forgive. right? Oh boy. I mean, I can't even imagine a more difficult proposition of having to forgive than they just blew up your whole planet, right? But ultimately, this is the way that the karma fully gets dissipated, is through letting go of resentments and letting go of fears. So if you are afraid of being attacked, you got to think of it as you got to prove to your soul that you ain't afraid of being attacked. Okay. Maybe that means coming out with that podcast. Maybe it means writing that article. Maybe it means telling your narcissistic family member what you really think, right? And a lot of you are going to be nodding at like one or all of these that I just said. Okay. You know, if there's this fear around like uh being being too big for britches where you attract attention. Well, the only way to heal that is to become public in some way and to think of it as you got to show your soul. I think this is the easiest way to think of it. You got to show your soul that you learned what you needed to learn. Okay, I get it. I have this karma that got carried over from Orion, etc. And because of that, I'm afraid of being attacked for my light. All right, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you, soul. So I'm going to come out with that book, that podcast. I'm going to speak up to my friends and family about what I know is true, what I believe in, all this stuff that they might think I'm weird for. I don't give a crap anymore. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to speak up and speak out. And you do. And for those that do attack you along the way, for those that do judge you, believe you me, I mean, even at my level, I still get negative comments. Like they're really rare, but they come. And usually they're from religious zealots that somehow came across my channel or whatever. But I've learned to just brush them off and just understand that someone that says something, they're hurting. They're hurting, you know, and I forgive them for that and I wish them all the best, right? Like, now extrapolate that. Like, what if we were to, as a collective, kind of have the energy of, okay, to all the draconians, the reptilians that are here attacking us in so many sinister and really subtle ways, instead of resenting you, we know that the only energy that heals you and us is love, forgiveness, acceptance, unity. And that energy is up here. The energy of like keeping this grass, this chokehold for control over an entire planet as they're doing for us is really low. So the only thing that can heal that is that energy of forgiveness and love and unity, because they don't understand that energy. That energy will drive them away like you're putting mosquito spray on you. The energy that keeps them here is the hate for them. When we say we hate the powers that be, the dark, it's so easy to hate them. And that's what we're so used to. We're so used to coming from Orion, coming from Lemuria, right? Hating those that are causing, why are you doing this? Stop. And that's something to deal with within, right? I would highly recommend all of you watch my Connecting with Lemuria call, my class, Connecting with Lemuria, and then watch Connecting with Atlantis. And these aren't just informational, but they're emotional experiences. I take you on a journey to Lemuria in the first one, to Atlantis in the latter, and you're going to get to re-experience what it was like, your lives there, and what the end of Lemuria and Atlantis were like. And you're going to go through all sorts of emotions. You're going to feel fear. You're going to feel anger. And then you're going to feel immense sadness. But that anger part and that, that just stop hurting us. Stop. Why are you doing this? Go away. F you, go away, stop it. The fear and the anger, that's all part of it. But then ultimately, the alchemy of karma, right? You think about the discordant energy, and then it's got to get a little less discordant, a little less discordant. The end of that is the peaceful energy of just forgiveness. And we have to apply this to everything else in our life. What is it that happened to you 50 years ago, 80 years ago, 20 years ago, yesterday, that you haven't fully forgiven yet? You cannot graduate as an ascending being. You cannot graduate to the fourth density, which is the next rung up, right? That we're attempting to go as individuals and as a planet. If you're carrying any resentments, it doesn't mean I expect all of you to just be watching this call and just immediately let go of all resentments. But I would ask that you try to let go of one or two today that you haven't been able to let go before, understanding the fundamental nature. And by the way, this is one of the wonderful lessons of cancer, right? Not the sign, the disease. Okay. It's a horrible experience. I lost my father to cancer. However, one of the things that cancer teaches us is forgiveness, because the frequency of cancer vibrates with the frequencies of guilt and resentment. And if we're holding on to guilt and resentment for many years or decades, metaphysically, it's one of the common ways that people end up with the physical manifestation of cancer in their body. So cancer teaches us, and those that recover from cancer, it's pretty much an ubiquitous experience that they share, that they had to learn to forgive, right? So ultimately, all of this stuff we're holding, whether it's from this life or whether it's from all the way back in the Orion Wars, we have to forgive and we have to love from afar. It doesn't mean you're going to want to invite an alleged hybrid reptilian, and I say alleged, someone alleged in a Twitter post at some point, I believe, like Justin Bieber, right? But feel free to cut that out if you want. I don't care. It's not like you're going to invite them to your house necessarily. It's not like you're going to, want to convene with reptilian ETs. But and by the way, there are good reptilian ETs out there. They're not all bad. They're not all bad, right? But what it means is that we can love and forgive from afar, and apply this to the narcissists in your life. Apply this to your family members that have harmed you in this life, right? Loving from afar and forgiving from afar. This is the way that we harmonize and alchemize all the karma. And this stuff from Orion and from Lemuria and Atlantis cuts the deepest. It cuts down to the core wounds of the stuff that blocks us from having a healthy self-esteem, the stuff that blocks us from having good health sometimes, the stuff that blocks us from actualizing and becoming all that we're meant to be in this life. Like, this is the most important stuff. And so it's really a great way to address it is through the context of looking at Orion, Lemuria, and Atlantis. As I said, those connected with Lemuria, connected with Atlantis, they're in all three of the packages. We're offering some special offer packages for those that want to go deeper into this work, even get private sessions, even join in on the Ascending as One group calls. It's in all three packages, those two classes. But experience what emotions come up when you do those calls and cry it out. A lot of you will see the floodwaters coming, or you'll see the ray guns coming down, and you'll cry and you'll cry and you'll cry and you'll scream, and you'll feel such a massive release from your body. You'll realize you've been storing this trauma in your cells your entire life, and really in reality for hundreds of lifetimes on Earth probably since then. And it'll be in such a new beginning, just having that clearing. of this stuff. But this is the most important stuff we have to address if we're truly ascending.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah, the information you shared is very helpful to help us maybe have an idea about our connections and also how we can address those karmic energies that we are feeling. And yeah, also there is a feedback from Moaka. Matthew, what you mentioned earlier reminds me of a message I got today. In divine perfection, nothing is personal. People's responses to you are simply information that allows you to be aware of what is aligned for you and what isn't. Wisdom allows you to hold neutrality.
I love that. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's
Beautiful.
really beautiful.
Thank you, Moaka. And yeah, so we'll start taking questions in after a couple of minutes.
And we're going to do some readings as well, right?
Just maybe before that, I would love if we can talk about the packages, if you would like to share more.
Sure.
I would like to share the link is yourdivineuniqueness.com/Matthew, yourdivineuniqueness.com/Matthew, MATTHEW. Or you can click on the special offer button, which is on the live event page, the replay page, and also on the chat boxes on Zoom and YouTube, and on YouTube video description. And on the live call, if you don't see the link or the button, you just refresh the page and you will see it. Yeah, so thank you. Matthew, can you please share about the packages?
Absolutely, yeah. So I am here on this planet to serve. I have, I've had quite a journey. There was a time in my life where I was here to just kind of figure out how to have fun and enjoy and have experiences, and especially with my Saturn return, it quickly formed me into this master teacher that I've started to embody since then. And I'm here to teach the Ascension, like to simplify it. I'm here to take people like you that are confused about the Ascension, are unsure about your destiny and who you're meant to become, need to be taught skills like mediumship and how to connect with beings on the other side, how to do energy healing, how to do magic, how to do rituals, etc., how to create tangible 3D platforms to be able to get this stuff out to the world, right? And also to help you heal whatever you need to heal those blocks that are stopping you. Like we talked about some of the blocks today that may come from Orion, but any blocks that come from anywhere that might be preventing you from getting to that next level. And that's why I'm here. I'm here as the Ascension teacher. And if you join and you experience what my Ascending as One program is like, it's very intentionally titled Ascending as One, because the idea is that we're coming together as a group of hundreds of people from around the world, and we are convening usually on Sundays, and we're learning really, really incredible teachings that come directly from me, teachings that I've developed to activate some sort of potential within you, to teach you how to do some sort of really, really important spiritual skill, to teach you how to unravel something in particular you've been carrying with you, right? So my Ascending as One program is designed for anyone like you that is on the Ascension path that wants to accelerate it. And the Ascension right now on the planet is accelerating so quickly. One of the things that I do is I trans-channel the Syrians in particular. And if you do package B or C, you're going to get to experience a lot of that. I channel a group of 5 Syrian extraterrestrials once a month or more. And they have lately, over the past 5-6 months, been repeating the same thing over and over again in different words, is that we need you to pick up the pace on Earth. You are falling behind if you're not careful. You need to accelerate. The time is over to wait. The time is over to hide this stuff. now is the time this stuff has to be disseminated. All this information, all these higher dimensional techniques have to be disseminated, right? We have to reach our potential faster than before because the dark forces are accelerating their work. And we're at a very precarious point, fork in the road in our collective timeline. And the future of our planet is very much up in the air. We want to avoid going down the path of what happened with the Lemuria and Atlantis. And I know we won't, and they know we won't. But there's a whole range of possibilities, of possible timelines of how smooth and graceful and beautiful this planetary ascension could be versus how treacherous and dangerous it could be. And just look at the outside world right now, and you can see a lot of treacherous and dangerous. So we got to get on with our work. And joining in on the Ascending as One group is going to be an incredible accelerator, an incredible activator. So you join any of the packages, you're going to get October and December. October, you get Healing Your Masculine Father Wounds, Refining Your Intuition, Tarot 101. These are 3-hour calls. The first hour is astrology, because I'm also a master astrologer. And you're going to know about all the planetary aspects coming for every day for the week to come, what it means, how you should plan out your life. We're talking about the new moons, the full moons, the eclipses. Especially important now because we're in a new eclipse season. We have on Tuesday the Pisces lunar eclipse. So if you join Ascending as One, you're going to know how to navigate the eclipses, how to navigate the retrogrades, how to navigate everything that's happening astrologically. Because from now until the end of the year, it's a really, really difficult time astrologically, which is interesting, being there's a presidential election in the U.S. But healing the last 2 hours of the call are the topic for the day. So Healing Your Masculine Father Wounds, Refining Your Intuition, Tarot 101, December, Understanding the Human Energy Field. Just as we have a physical anatomy, we have an energetic anatomy. This is going to teach you the, everything you need to know about the aura, about the chakras, about the nadis, etc. Healing from grief, which is going to be a really tough call for me. I haven't lost my father and a pet, but I'm going to do it as a service work to help others who have gone through grief recently. Then Astrology 101 to finish off the year, which will be really cool because so many of you, those that come on the Ascending as One calls, usually you get really, really interested in astrology way deeper than before because I'm so good at practicalizing it. But I'll actually teach you in that call how to read a natal chart, right? You can take that if you want to go become an astrologer, go ahead. I'll teach you all the tools you need to read a chart. Bonus, amazing master classes, Master Your Intuition, Intro to Mediumship, Connected with Lemuria and Atlantis, as I said, those two. Clear your inner blocks, activate your maximum financial abundance. Understand your starseed origins, which is great if you don't get a reading with me today and you're not sure where you come from in the stars. That item 7 and package, in all the packages, you watch that and you learn where you come from, which is such an amazing thing to understand. Creating the 5DU, that's all package A. Package B is going to get you all that plus private sessions with me. So you don't get a reading with me today, or you do, and you want to do a deep dive. I do these deep dive private readings where you can ask me literally anything. People ask me where they're from the stars. They'll ask me about their karma that they carry on from other lifetimes. They'll ask me specifics about who they were in other lifetimes. They'll ask me about their future coming up in this lifetime. They'll ask me about relationships. They'll ask me about their health. You can ask me about literally anything. Every question's on the table, okay? In those private sessions, you get 2 of them with package B. You get the bonus VIP Ascending as One calls where I do the Syrian channeling for the last part of the VIP calls. So October 12th, that's Ancient Mysteries plus the Syrian channeling. That Ancient Mysteries is really cool because I'm going to talk about the pyramids, Serpent Mound, the Tartarian Empire, talk about Jesus. I'm going to talk about the biblical floods, as I mentioned today. I'm going to talk about the pyramids in Bosnia. I'm going to talk about interesting things in the Himalayas. And really just bring your questions, because any questions you have about like, oh, is this true or is this true or what happened here? I'll tell you what I know, and then we'll ask the Syrians as well, and they'll really be able to tell us. And then you get to also join our winter solstice group activation, which is so fun when we do the solstice activations. It's such good energy that we cultivate. We do a big group ritual. I do it at my other office. I create a whole, altar with candles and incense and magic oils. We do a wonderful ritual to honor the winter solstice and also to activate abundance because it's part of the celebration of the winter solstice. Package B, other recorded masterclass, The Illusion of Ego, which helps you to unravel the 12 illusory aspects of ego. This isn't just for like the narcissistic ego. This is for the inferior ego as well, which is light workers. Most of us have. Healing with colors, Witchcraft and Magic 101. Literally going to teach you how to do candle magic just from one course. And all these courses, they're called master classes. They're true master classes. Well, you'll see that term thrown out a lot out there. These are true master classes because in a short period of time, anywhere between an hour and a half and 3 hours with these classes, you will literally learn everything you need to know to start practicing whatever is being taught. And then it's up to you to take the protocols taught in the class and practice on your own. And you don't need to go out and spend thousands of dollars on some full-length course on magic or some full-length course on using, color therapy or color healing. Do these introductory courses first, these introductory master classes, and see where it gets you. Because if you take what I teach you in here, it's going to get you pretty much all the way that you need to go. Then if you want to refine and add on from there, go ahead. But do these master classes first, please, before you go out and spend a ridiculous amount of money on things. Ditto for how to be a successful spiritual entrepreneur. Don't go out and spend $10,000 on a business coach. I'm appalled at what these business coaches get people for the new age circles. I can't stand it. And, well, forgiveness, but it irks me. But you don't need that. Do my How to Be a Successful Spiritual Entrepreneur. I give you not just the energetics of it, but all the tricks of the trade to be a successful entrepreneur in the new age field. How to move on completely from your ex. I know, Monsef, this was helpful to you at some point in your journey. Healing your inner child. All about angels, archangels, ascended masters, spirit guides. How to connect with any being from up in the astral realm. So that's package B. Package B, I recommend starting with. And for those of you that are feeling really called to this work, really called to deepen your ascension, get the ultimate package. That's package C. That's going to get you a third month of ascending as one. That'll be January. January is really good. Step into your highest timeline for 2025. We're doing a really powerful group energetic activation. Okay, to set us. Imagine you want to have your best 2025. We all do. I mean, talking about 2025 now is crazy. But yeah, we're getting towards the end of the year already, as believe it or not. Why not set yourself up to be steps ahead, to be vibrational partitions above your peers, your family, etc. in 2025, and set yourself up for that by starting the year off with a powerful activation. I've done this every year for the past couple of years, and the results have been astounding. People that have gotten new jobs and promotions and have gotten into a relationship in the weeks following doing the Stepping the Highest Timeline call. So that'll be January 5th. January 12th, Ascension 101, which is really great because I'm going to get into the science, the quantum physics of Ascension and all the galactic astrology. I'm going to teach you how to use your Merkaba, other tools to accelerate your ascension, healing your root chakra, the VIP call, an overview of extraterrestrial races, which will be really helpful to help you understand everything that's going on, all the interactions of the beings out there with Earth, plus the Syrian channeling, and then that third reading with me in January. So if you do the ultimate package, you get 3 private readings with me. Who the heck else offers on any platform 3 private readings? I'm crazy, but I offer that because it's a progression. 1 reading is great, but 3 readings, I get to know you, you get to know me personally, and we go on a journey together. And I like working like that because it's far and away more effective than just doing a single reading. So the ultimate package also, you get how to use 12 rays of creator's energy. You probably don't even know about the 12 rays. This is such a hack a hack for creation and manifestation to understand which color ray to use for a particular endeavor and see that accelerate that endeavor. Putting the past in the past, which will help you let go of stuff you've been carrying on, just like that. A deeper level of forgiveness, very appropriate for today's call. Addiction relief for light workers. There'll be a couple of you watching this that are nodding your head that could use that. Change your reality by changing your words, understanding and seeing your past lives, navigate the dark night of the soul, and a bonus guided meditation. So the ultimate package is the deep dive for those of you that are like, yes, 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 I want to accelerate my ascension. I want to do this. And you're the right teacher. And it's not just about me. These groups, these setting is one group. I had 150, 160 people in August. October, probably be around there. So it's a lot of people from around the world. And what's great is there's a Telegram group where if you join just on your smartphone, you can make friends with people from all around the world. And I've had so many people that have made friends with each other in a setting as one. And the Telegram group is fun because even in between the calls, throughout the entire month, we're keeping in touch with each other. We're posting inspirational things. I'm keeping you on track with doing the homework, right, for the last call. And it's a community. It's a real community. And the calls themselves are fun. There's a lot of people on the calls. Not everyone that's in the group is on every call once, of course, people's schedules. But, it's a lot of fun with a lot of people on the calls and so much back and forth input from you being on the call. And even sometimes I do readings if I have time left over at the end. So it's such a great group. And it's an accelerant. It's an ascension accelerant is what it is.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Matthew. Yeah, the package is really, I love that they touch on like so many subjects, and like our audience can go very deep, like both like ascending as one calls and then the recordings. And you mentioned that earlier, and also I agree with you. That's really I love about your classes that you include both the information which helps the mind to understand, but then also there is experience, there is healing and activation and clearly depending on the subject, which it can be really, really powerful. For me, it's I really love the experience, very releasing. And yeah, also thank you for offering the 3 readings. I agree with you because sometimes we do one session and then we have more questions coming. We want to talk more about what's going on. So yeah, thank you, Matthew. And yeah, everyone, I invite you to sign up for one of these 3 packages on the link yourdivineuniqueness.com/Matthew, yourdivineuniqueness.com/Matthew, MATTHEW. Or you can click on the special offer button, which is on the live events page or later on replay page. The link also on YouTube video description and the chat boxes on Zoom and YouTube. And so yeah, let's take some questions. So yeah, everyone, if you can just ask only one question, because we have many of you who are raising their hands and we don't have we have limited time. So
yeah, let's especially focus on like karma and obstacles, and especially as it relates to Atlantis and Lemuria and Orion.
Yeah. So Tamara, hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello.
Oh, thank you ever so much, Monsef and Matthew, brothers from the other mother.
The big mother up in the sky.
Yeah, exactly. Can you tune in? I believe I've been, well, I'm aware I've been in Lemuria. The struggle, I guess, that I've had is all these gifts. And so it's been a fear of power for me, commitment, money issues. So I'm wondering if there was, if it either came from Atlantis or Orion, because there's been a lot of anger in my life.
Kind of both. In Atlantis, you were a man and you were running this spiritual organization that money ended up really corrupting it. And you kind of tripped into the the black hole of power, which is okay. It happened to me in another life too. And it kind of corrupted the spiritual organization towards the end of it. Then I think you were murdered by some rival in that life. And then it goes back to Orion, where you were part of some organization, and the teacher you guys all trusted, and then she ended up essentially leading you to slaughter, metaphorically speaking, by like you guys were she had been working with one of the draconians that had come, and was it was a planet where that subtle influence was happening, but not the outright violence. And your group ended up like being one of the first people on your planet to have to kind of do the dirty work for the draconians that were starting to take over, because you were tricked into it. You were tricked into it through this spiritual organization. Then there's another life on Earth where I think you had grown up and your father was a pastor or something. Then you left the church, and then they had come and like harassed you because you had basically become a pagan, and they came to your home and harassed you. They harassed your daughter. They didn't hurt you in that life, but they harassed you. So there's, of course, this fear around power, and this fear around coming out fully and being who you're meant to become, and that can block gifts. So the keys here are, as I said, of course, forgiveness towards all that happened in these other lifetimes, and forgiveness for all that happened in this lifetime. That's key. And forgiveness for self too, because you're not, as most of us aren't innocent in this either. Like, we all have dirty pasts in other lifetimes as well. Forgiveness for all, and stepping into the light where you're creating some sort of organization again in this life, but this time it's going to go amazingly. And this time this is what I've done. Like, I was some sort of cult leader in some other lifetime, right? So here I am in this life. I created this incredible platform, and I'm so careful that it never feels like any obligation, never feels like any, like, he said he was working on this. If you want to stay for an hour, stay for an hour. I don't care. If you want to stay for 3 hours, stay for 3 hours. Great. You don't have to come to any of the calls if you don't want to. You don't have to do anything. Like my retreat, same thing. Come to what you want to come to. Don't come to what you don't. Do what you want to do. Right. I'm so careful with that. And it feels so right. Because there was another lifetime where I was essentially like leading a cult, and it wasn't like that. It was like more like, no, you have to do what I say. So you got to create some sort of organization, if you haven't yet, where you're teaching some sort of, for you, it's going to be specifically like channelings and messages and mediumship and things like that. But yeah, being a teacher, leading circles, leading groups, leading retreats. And that's what overcomes that karma. Again, we have to do what we're afraid of. We have to forgive, and then we have to do what we're afraid of.
Perfect.
So how's that resonate?
It absolutely does resonate. Because there's, absolutely. There has been this resonance with Atlantis and casinos. Like when I went to a casino back in the early 2000s, I was crossing the street towards it, and I just had this overwhelming energy and feeling of Atlantis. And it's
okay. So you probably ran a casino or were high up. I can see that too. Yeah. In a different life in Atlantis, you were high up in a casino.
Really?
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Like Atlantis, absolutely. Atlantis had casinos. Atlantis had brothels. Atlantis had all of the kind of vices of society that we see now because it had begun to degenerate as a society because of the grip of control and because of this infiltration of the dark energy where they were trying to turn everyone against each other and against themselves, as has been the case over the past 100 years here. So yeah, casino as well.
Yeah, so that has been an issue for a number of years in my life. And it's interesting that all of the machines to present day are all about ancient civilizations.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that interesting? You know what? I'm blown away that you pointed that out because you're so right. And I never thought of that before, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And there's something sinister there. There's something sinister there. Like every aspect of a casino is sinister. The carpets are confusing so that you want to be as fast as possible go to the next slot. There's no visible exits ever. So you're confused, disoriented. So you just go to the next slot. The sounds are all intended to create dopamine. So as soon as you leave the sounds, you're like, I want to go back. It's so sinister, all of it.
The whole way it's put together. I was on an interview, and I said,
"Sorry, Tamara, because we need to move to our next caller."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you. Apologize.
So interesting, though. So interesting, though. Like, Montef, I come from a family of people that like to gamble. I had to deal with overcoming that vice in my life at a certain point as well. So I get it. I get it 1,000%. A lot of light workers. And that addiction call, like people, we get into this new age community and we're like, oh, everyone here is so advanced, so full of light. And then you don't realize that we're all just people trying. The difference is we're actually consciously trying to improve and accelerate and ascend versus people that aren't. But there's light workers with alcohol addictions, light workers with meth addictions, there's light workers with gambling addictions, all of it. And it's important to talk about it because, so for you, Tamara, and for anyone else that's dealing with gambling addiction, GA can work, but ultimately it's got to be cold turkey. You can't dabble. You cannot dabble. You have to just how many days never placing a bet? Get that to 5 years, you'll feel pretty darn amazing.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Thank you so much, Matthew, and also thank you, Tamara, for calling in. And Rosemary, can you please unmute yourself?
Hello. Thank you for calling on me, Matthew. Am I an Orion starseed? And let me put my video.
But you're also an herb.
I'm also a what?
An herb, like sage, rosemary, sage.
And can you tell me a little bit, I guess, about my life on Orion and how that has impacted me like today?
So you had several, you were on several different planets in Orion's belt. The one I think that's most relevant is that you were part of a crew that was that got to actually travel in space. You got to actually travel in ships. You're a male in that life, and you were training essentially to be able to defend your planets. And ultimately, you were overwhelmed, and there was nothing you could do. And then you had to re-experience that when you were at the end of Lemuria, and you had actually led a group of people or were part of a group of people that, was like, well, what can we do? How can we fight back, right? And you guys had actually wanted to, I think the idea was to go over to Atlantis and see what you can do to help, and ultimately you're overwhelmed. And ultimately, actually, I think you went to the inner earth after Lemuria as well. I think it's important to know that. So I guess in this life, Do you feel like you're the one that stands up for what is right?
Yes.
Stands up for
Yes.
those that are less fortunate or hurting or being abused
Yes.
or
Yes.
animals, or this is where it comes from. It's like trying to stand up for your people. And it's a very noble thing, and you should not stop doing that. But what you should always remember is that it can't come out of anger. It's got to come out of a desire to improve society, improve life, and to help, and with forgiveness for those, non-duality, forgiveness for those that harm.
Yeah, and I have a lot of forgiveness, and I'll just tell you, a brother of mine went missing. He was murdered, and I never felt revengeful or anything. I just wanted them to catch the people
Yeah,
so they couldn't harm anybody else and
absolutely.
harm
I mean,
family like
there's
they
a
harmed
reason
us.
we have a legal system. We're not at the point of our planet's history where we're able to not have prisons or not have legal systems. It'll be decades before we potentially get there. So that part, absolutely. Like, because sometimes people get confused. It's like, oh, I should forgive like murderers. It's like it's not that they shouldn't be locked up. They should be,
Right.
but it's that
Yeah.
if you think about resentment, we carry it with us, and it only poisons us,
Correct.
right? And anyone that hurts someone else only hurt them because they were hurting. That is absolutely a law of vibration. Because think about it. When we're feeling great and we're in love and unity, you don't even want to harm that mosquito,
Correct.
right? Let alone another human being or an animal, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's what it is. It's part of the reason that I think that was meant to happen. It's not just about you, but for your family, is to learn that forgiveness ultimately in the most difficult way.
And it was interesting what you said about being like in a starship and doing things, because when I see like on TV about going to space, these private company now is taking people to space, I'm always like, no, I want to stay here. I have no desire to go out to space. I want to stay here.
Wow.
I like the ocean.
Because, wow, that's all right. Because you went out to space and you were overwhelmed and you perished out in space.
Yeah. So
Wow.
that's interesting. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably it. So
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Rosemary. And thank you, Matthew, for the guidance. We reached the end. Do you feel maybe you can take one more, or
You can say as
we
many as you
complete?
want.
Hmm?
Go all day. I don't care.
Okay.
But
So,
you're the one that's late wherever.
okay.
I have no idea where you are. I never know where you are.
Yeah, I'm in north
You
of
could be
Spain
anywhere.
now.
Where in the world is Monsef after?
I'm back to Spain. Yeah.
Where are you though?
Now in Santander, north of Spain.
In where?
Santander. It's
Santander.
Santander, D-E-R in the end.
In what country?
Spain, in the north.
Oh, you're in Spain. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. How is it?
Yeah, it's good.
Good.
But yeah, still looking for a place to settle. So I'm still like moving.
Cool.
Yeah, but it's nice.
Definitely a past life. Some sort. Everywhere you go, I know it's a past life. You're revisiting.
Okay. Yeah,
It's
I know.
definitely you
I
were in
know
Spain
about
before.
Spain because the past life there was something with music, and
And
I'm back. Like
the
I go
notes of
sometimes to the south to take classes, like guitar classes.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I can see like a vision of a guy. This is like hundreds of years ago, way before electricity, and he's sitting like kind of on the street, and he's kind of busking. He's got an interesting looking hat, and he's essentially busking. He's playing music for money. Maybe that was
Yeah, that's that's very interesting. So yeah, wonderful. Let's see. Beth, can you unmute yourself?
Hi.
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 Okay, so I guess I want to hear about my karma.
All right. Uh, did you have any difficult relationships with men in this life?
Not so much. I mean, well, I've had some really bad experiences, but actually had probably better relationships with men than women.
So it was more women?
Yeah, and women have not been so nice to me.
Was there a particular like narcissistic kind of?
Oh yeah, I pretty much think that's my mom.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Okay. I figured it was
And
either
I
a
know
father
that
or but
I know my mom and I are totally karma, and
yeah.
I
But
think
this
I'm
is
doing pretty
important.
good.
That's good. Yeah, because like as you heal that the karma from you and your mother, that is the most important centerpiece to like healing everything you need to heal in this life. And it's all about stepping into your fullest potential and power as a leader. Because in Atlantis, you were like second in command at some sort of company, and you were really like abused by the leader. And in Lemuria, you were so focused on unity, and it worked really well for you vibrationally. You were a mother with children, and you all raised the children together. It was just so beautiful and loving, and that was very comfortable. But this like being in this paradigm of this hierarchical power structure in Atlantis was not so comfortable. And the same in Orion, I think what happened was you were part of some aspect of the government of your planet that was trying to fight off the invasion of the Draconians. And but it was a hierarchical structure, and you felt uncomfortable being in a position of power. So it's all the lessons all around power, and it's all around power in context with stepping into who you're meant to become in this life as the teacher, as the activator. What do you do for a living right now?
I'm a personal trainer and a Reiki practitioner.
All right. So
In
you're
fact,
on your way with that.
I've gotten into the Reiki recently, but like I've gone into it hardcore and I love it.
Yeah, good. It's gonna get so much deeper. So much deeper.
Yeah,
For you, I'd really recommend if you can do like my package B or C and do as many of those classes as you can, especially the recorded ones as well. And like learn how to use colors in your healing. Learn how to do mediumship. Learn how to connect with archangels and ascended masters in your work, because your work's gonna get really, really deep, and you're gonna be someone that people come to from all over the world to work with remotely, and you're gonna do in-person stuff, and uh, you have a really powerful role to step into. But it's all the throat chakra. It's all about overcoming any illusions that you're not meant to be that leader, and your mother and the people that have treated you like you're second class have been trying to. The reason you have those soul contracts is they're trying to activate that leadership and that strength within you, and also that's what's led you down the path of physical strength as well.
yeah, yes, absolutely on all fronts. And definitely I'm about unity. I don't like the top down. I hate power structures. I literally hate them.
Yeah.
Which is kind of why I got out of any kind of corporate America, business America that I hate. And now we have our own business, and that comes with a ton of struggles too. But it also comes with like an enormous amount of peace.
Yeah. Yeah, good. And ultimately it's gonna be you on your own, and you'll create these cool groups and circles as well. That is a very, and I try to do that myself, is circular power structures.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
By
much
the way,
more
that's
fun.
the future of the planet.
Yeah, I just think that's so much more fun and so much so much, well, I mean, I don't have to tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, and the forgiveness thing is huge. There's so many different layers to love. And what some people think of as love, I'm like, are you kidding me? That's not even close. But anyway, the same thing is with forgiveness. And like there's been like so many layers of that with me, with both my parents, but more my mom, where like I'm finally getting to the point of I get there was a reason for this, basically hell and nastiness, but I have like gotten to a level of forgiveness that I never really thought was possible. And then once in a while I'm triggered and think, oh, there's just another level you have to go now. But
It is, yeah. And like that, as you get to each new level with that, you'll see as a corollary of your life, you're getting to a new level.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I see that.
Thank you.
So cool. Thank you so much.
And if you have an opportunity to do package B or C, if you can, and we'll do some private readings to do a deep dive into who that big role is for you, if that calls to you. But the classes especially will be fantastic for you.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you, Beth. And thank you, Matthew. Yeah, maybe we'll take one more from Leila. Hello? Can you unmute? Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
So great to be with you. Matthew, I would like to ask you about what's going on with a feeling I had as soon as all that stuff happened in 2020 and the control and
Have we met before?
yeah, we met at Conscious Life Expo.
Stairway to the Stars?
Yeah, I was there when you did your stand-up.
Stairway to the Stars?
No, in Conscious Life Expo, LA.
Oh, Conscious Life. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought we met. Okay.
Yeah, it was a fun night. So when all that change started happening in 2020, and all of the, domination and limitation happened, and then people going along with it, it felt really catastrophic to me and has continued, these 4 years. It feels like catastrophe to me. And I'm wondering like what it would relate to.
You got to disconnect from that, because it's only gonna lower your vibration. But it comes from Orion. It comes from again, these disinformation campaigns that happened in several Orion planets that were really sinister, and most of the people got tricked. Maybe some didn't, but most did. And then later on realizing they got tricked. And regardless of what people think about what happened in 2020 or whatever, that's not relevant. What's relevant is that you got to disconnect from that resentment, because it will only keep that karma in place. Where you need to get to, and I know this is not easy, is understanding that everything happened exactly as it was meant to, and it always does. People are only doing their best. People are only always doing their best. And to embrace life as it is now. Embrace life as it is now. Embrace the beauty, the opportunities. Go outside and enjoy. Be who you're meant to become. Any part of you that says, but if this didn't happen, I could have, that's gotta be alchemized.
Yeah,
That's
I
got
think
to
it's a
go
lot
away.
of fear. It's a lot of fear. I'm in fear. I'm doing my best to shift it. It just feels so strong.
Well, the fear is there, as I said before. All fear has to be overcome.
Yeah.
So how do you overcome it? Like what, again, like if you were to show your soul, like, okay, soul, or wherever your soul, okay, I know that I've still been dealing with this, feel this. How can I show you that I've overcome this? Like, what would that be for you?
Trust.
Okay. And what would that look like in your life? Like what have you maybe not fully gone into fully creating, or what have you not fully, faced, I guess? It could be either.
Um, that I am capable, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel small and incapable
Yeah.
against this massive force.
But you're not fighting the force, but that comes from Orion, the feeling that you are. We're all just a little puzzle piece.
Mhm.
Okay, we're all just a little puzzle piece, but if you don't become the puzzle piece, then the puzzle isn't complete. So that's the point. You have to become the puzzle piece. What is your contribution meant to be? What aspect of this whole thing are you meant to, help people heal, or help people understand, or help people let go, or help people experience, or help people activate, or help people be? That's what you got to figure out.
Mhm.
What is your role? And serve your role. And when the fears and the resentments come up, you got to just keep disconnecting from them.
Yeah, I feel like what happens is I get caught up in being the one to sound the alarm. Like I feel like I need to sound the alarm. I need to tell people so that they can, make a new choice. But that's not really working for me. But this is what I get caught up in.
Yeah, no, I agree. You got to focus. What's a higher vibration of that?
That I'm living it, and others who are curious are drawn to me.
Yeah, exactly. And just activating people's highest potential.
Yeah.
There'll
Who,
always be
who
alarms
want that?
about anything. I don't know,
Yeah, but who want that? Because I feel drawn to go to the ones who don't want that.
Well, that's important too, but and maybe that's part of your role, but uh it's like this, the people that aren't ready to kind of step into the really owning what they're here to do. If those are the types of people that you finding you, well, that's a sign of where you're at too. And then as you fully step into who you're meant to become, well, then all of a sudden the people that are coming to you are different, and they're at the next level. Because you have to progress too. You have to progress along the path too. And as a corollary, you'll see the people out there change.
Got it. That makes a lot of
It
sense.
happened to me. I mean, the types of people that I work with are unbelievable, but there's some I remember that I had at the beginning of this iteration of my career that were really resistant. I don't really get anyone. It's so incredibly rare to get anyone that's resistant anymore, because it's just the level I'm at, that someone's got to be ready. You know what I mean? So, and I'd highly recommend do package B or C, because doing this for 5 minutes is great, but doing the full private sessions, especially, be helpful to direct you more specifically.
Yeah.
You're going. So
Okay. Thank you.
okay, nice seeing you.
Nice seeing you too. Thanks, Monsa.
Yeah, thank you, Leila. And thank you, Matthew. So yeah, Michelle, Cheryl, thank you, Monsef and Matthew, for this call and discussion today. So yeah, Matthew, thank you so much.
Yeah,
I really loved the call today. It was very love the information like about the different civilizations, how we can be connected to them, and how we can recognize that connection, and how we can release the karmic energy. So thank you so much for that. Thank you for the guidance and support you gave to our callers, and also for the program and packages we are offering. Thank you.
absolutely. Did we hit on everything today? Is there anything else we should leave people with?
Yeah, if you would like to share maybe a message before we end.
Let's just leave people with a little bit about where we're going the rest of this year, right? So Pluto is back in Capricorn. You know, someone texted me yesterday, they're like, what's going on? Why do I feel like it's like 2011 again? It's like, well, because Pluto's back in Capricorn. So, you know, it's back to like the old world and the old ways of being. And we're, if we're not careful, you know, we can get less enlightened than we're used to being lately. And we can fight with each other and we can point the finger. And, you know, I want you to really take this lesson of forgiveness and how extreme the forgiveness I was talking about. If we can get so extreme as to forgive the most evil race of extraterrestrial beings that has caused every problem in existence in our galaxy, if we can forgive them, not because we want to, but because we have to, because that's how vibration works. That's how the only way that we move up. So if we can forgive that, then you can forgive your ex-husband for what he did. You can forgive your sister for what she did. You can forgive yourself for what you did, right? And as we recalibrate here, this period of time with Pluto and Capricorn, before it re-enters back into Aquarius in late November, use this time to recalibrate and to be ready. So when Pluto re-enters Aquarius and the eclipses have passed, that you have let go of so much crap. That's really the key. With the Pluto retrograde and the eclipse season, it's letting go of crap so that you're ready for whatever gifts your soul has for you next, be it a new relationship, be it a new career, be it a stepping up in your service work, like we talked about with Layla. Whatever it is, you're ready. You're ready for that up leveling. So this is a recalibration stage. And it is, by the way, for the planet as well. And it's very exciting. It's a very exciting time, I think, here in the US. I'm very excited. And whatever happens between now and when Pluto re-enters Aquarius is exactly what we need to set us up as a world for the next stages as well. So all is meant to be and all is written into the stars. So again, recalibrate, readjust, let go, and then come November, December, you're now ready. And it's perfect timing. Joining in, you know, those of you, a lot of you will join in on the Ascension 1 calls. October, we're going to do a lot of releasing. We're going to release, you know, stuff we have stored from the ancestral lineage wounds around the masculine, our fathers, our grandfathers, the wounds that our mothers and our grandmothers have carried against the masculine. We're going to let go of grief. We're going to let go of, you know, wounds in the root chakra, you know. So it'll help you to prepare for when Pluto does enter into Aquarius officially. Pluto was in Aquarius as kind of a trial period before this, but come end of November, now it's there permanently for the next 2 decades. And we're truly, Pluto and Aquarius, those 2 decades, that's the runway. It's the off-ramp, you know, you're on the interstate. the sign says Age of Aquarius, exit here, Age of Aquarius. Well, that off ramp is Pluto and Aquarius. So the next 20 years, this is the preview of the Age of Aquarius. It won't all be pretty, but a lot of it will. You'll start to see this unity consciousness grow like a beautiful, beautiful mosaic throughout the earth, like a kaleidoscope. You'll see this beauty of unity grow. But there will also be this opposing force of darkness. But as time goes on, because of the acceleration of the ascension, assuming all goes well, and assuming we do our work as the light workers, as the Syrians keep reminding us. And again, if you haven't experienced the Syrian channeling call, by the way, the Syrians told me at my retreat last week at Light on the Hill in New York, they told our group the craziest thing. I'm not ready to reveal it fully publicly yet, but it has to do with the entire ascension as from a planetary perspective, and the relation between our planet and the Galactic Federation, and it's huge. But I'm gonna reveal it on that October 6th call for those that weren't at the retreat. But for now, it's going to kind of stay within our group. If they do a channeling that's public and it gets revealed, then it'll be revealed. But it's a huge piece of information, so we'll talk about that on that October 6th call as well. So I hope so many of you end up joining. It's going to be such an accelerant to your ascension, and we're at a crucial inflection point right now. But for all of you, let go, forgive, recalibrate. Get ready to step into the next stage, because it's here. So
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, it really is exciting. I mean, yeah, there will be some release, but still, it's yeah, it feels like it's an exciting time. So, thank you.
Sure is. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Matthew, for that reading, and yeah, for everything you shared with us today.
You're welcome.
And everyone, thank you so much for being here with us today. Thank you for sharing with us this time and space, for your comments, questions, and also your beautiful energies, and as always. And again, you can sign up for one of the 3 packages that Matthew is offering to us on the link yourdivineuniqueness.com/Matthew, yourdivineuniqueness.com/Matthew, MATTHEW. Or you can click on the special offer button, which is on the live events page, later on the replay page. The link also on YouTube video description and the chat boxes on Zoom and YouTube. And yeah, so with that, everyone, I'm sending you so much love, and I will see you on the next call. Bye-bye, everyone.